everybody. Welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Sunday and I always jump on at 12 noon Pacific on Sunday with a project. And so today I thought I would try my hand at double embossing. So, well, I'm not sure. I guess it's double stamping. I'm going to emboss and stamp on vellum. Fingers crossed this is going to turn out. This is my theory. So we'll see how it turns out. I have an idea for a card where you stamp the vellum and you also emboss the vellum. And I just realized I forgot my Versamark, so I'm going to have to grab my Versamark. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to be using the Season of Chic stamp set and Starry Sky. I thought this would look really stunning in Starry Sky with white embossing. Hey Tamarish, welcome. All right, let me switch over to my desktop and grab my Versamark while I am at it, because I forgot it quickly. All right. Here we go. Hey Lee, welcome. Good morning. So this is the Season of Chic stamp set. I really love this. Now the sizes of these images are quite a bit bigger. So they're 75%. So they are quite a bit bigger. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the image. That's the size compared to these. It's just such a nice collection. Every season is represented, from, snowflakes in winter, flowers, these great seashells, and then the leaves. So I'm kind of doing a combination. I'm going to use a thanks stamp. It's a beautiful big stamp. And I'm using these leaves. That is glue. All right. So let's bring in what I've got here. So I've got a piece of Starry Sky. I just love this color. It's just so rich. So this is 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. And as always, fold into the mountain or the raised line and use your bone folder. Okay, so now I've got a piece. Oops. I used the gilded leafing this morning and it is all over the place. So I've got a piece of basic white. So that's my second layer. That's 4 inches by 5 1/4. Hey everybody, welcome. And I've got a piece of vellum here. Now this is, I'm not sure what I cut this. I actually scrapped. So it's actually 3 3/4 by 5. So it's going to fit behind. I've got to cut. I'm using the largest, this is the largest square from the Stitched Stylish Shapes dies that I will cut a hole in this. But we're going to stamp our vellum first. And the reason I'm going to stamp it first is because it's going to take a little bit to dry. I'm going to use my heat tool. So if you've ever stamped on vellum, you know that it does take a little bit of time for it to dry. So we'll use our heat tool and see, but let's get the stamping done first, and then we can put the card together and do some other things. So I have pulled out the 2 leaves from the what's it called, Season of Chic, and I'm going to do some stamping. I'm going to do my embossing first. Let's see, I'm trying to debate about what. Yeah, I'm going to use this one. So this is 2-step stamping. So one of the leaves is more solid than the other. So I'm going to use the more detailed leaf. And I'm going to stamp a bunch of times on here fairly randomly. I actually don't need to cover the whole piece, but since I don't actually know where it's going to fit, I'm going to try and randomly, and hopefully I can see where these images are. You won't be able to see it, but I'm stamping randomly on my piece of vellum. And I'm sure I actually have this covered. So I'm going to do my embossing first using white embossing powder. Now, move that out of the way. Hopefully don't touch it. I always keep my embossing powder in plastic container. But if you've got the new amazing embossing kit, which has an embossing buddy and some great tweezers, which I will grab. I didn't use the embossing buddy. I probably should have, but now I've got the tweezers, and I am going to use the spoon to cover my vellum with my white embossing powder. I love these tweezers. I'm only just hanging on to them, and they are solid enough that they actually are holding the vellum. Now I'm using the brush that comes with it just to wipe off anything. See the white leaves, aren't they pretty? Wiping off any of the excess powder. Gosh, even in that plastic, I make a mess with embossing powder. All right, so we are going to heat emboss. So as always, when you heat emboss, you just want to hold your, on high, hold your heat tool over the powder until it starts to melt. So it'll go from this dull matte finish to shiny. And hopefully, I don't know if you can hear me. I know that Zoom does an amazing job, or StreamYard does an amazing job of muting, so you might not be able to hear me. So we're just going to hold your heat tool over the image until it starts to melt, and then move it. Okay, there we go. I don't know if you could hear me through that, but anyway, you can. So now I've got this. Now I'm just going to let it sit and cool off for just a minute because I found my grid papers kind of worked. I have found that if you don't let it, it will, it can actually smudge. That's the word I was trying to think of. Okay, I think it's. Okay, we're going to turn this over, and now I'm going to take the other stamp, and I'm going to stamp in Starry Sky. Hey, Ellie, welcome. And just do some stamping kind of in alternate spots. Now, this definitely takes some time to dry on vellum, so we'll see how this goes, but I'm going to stamp and try not to smudge because it definitely smudges. And again, I don't need all of these images because I know that most of this is going to be covered over, but just because I'm not sure exactly what parts are going to be covered over. There we go. Okay, I think that's good. Now I'm going to use my heat tool again because this is very juicy and it will take some time to dry. So I'm going to use my heat tool to try and dry this ink. And hopefully, by the time I get my card put together, it will be dry enough to put together so it doesn't smudge. All right. So hopefully, by the time I get my card done, it will be okay. But can you see kind of the look that I'm going for? And you're only going to see a small part of this, but we will just keep that on that side. So while that's drying, we are going to take this is the largest stitched square from the Stylish Shapes. And that's about what you're going to see. So I'm going to put it up here like this. And we're going to cut a square. And I'm going to use just a piece of Post-it note tape to hold this in place as I cut it. So move that out of the way. And I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we will cut this square out of the center. I love these Stylish Shapes. I love anything with stitching. And so these have become a go-to for me as far as dies go. The ones I go to first if I'm going to be cutting any shapes. That and the deckled rectangles if you want a rectangle shape. And the cool part about these, if I get my Post-it note tape off, there we go, is even the insert, which I'm not going to use on this card, has stitching on it. Oh, I don't think you can see that. There we go. Now you can see the stitching. So there's stitching around this edge, and there's also stitching. I can feel a little bit of glue from that Post-it note tape. Just erasing. Okay. So I'm still going to take and do some more stamping, waiting for that. Hopefully will be as dry can be. So I'm going to stamp this beautiful thanks stamp. I just love how big and bold this is. And so it's just going to say thanks right at the bottom in Starry Sky. Hello. Not sure who that is. There's a couple of people on. I know, I think it's Lorraine from the UK. I can't see your name. I can only see Facebook user. And then somebody else just joined that says, good evening, everyone. Make sure you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give Facebook permission so that I can actually see who's commenting. All right, I think this is going to be dry enough. So the trick is going to be, ooh, that's quite pretty. Okay, so I'm going to take and adhere this to the back. Now I'm going to use Stampin' Seal. I just think it holds when I want this to be kind of held. So I'm going to use Stampin' Seal across the top and just make sure that my piece is held in place like that. Now you could use either side if you wanted the Starry Sky. Okay, I'm questioning whether I want a piece. So that's what it will look like without the basic white. And if I put a piece of basic white, even that, I could just put behind that. And that's what it would look like. I think I'm going to put this, how am I going to do this? I'm going to fill my hole with this, and I'm going to use some Tear and Tape adhesive to hold this in place. Just a little bit. I'm not going to take the backing off. It's a bit like using Scotch tape, but just going to hold this in place with Tear and Tape. There, now that's in place. Rather than a whole piece. Yeah, now I can see that it's actually Starry Sky. All right, so now we're going to use... My Stampin' Seal has come to the end and is all pulled away. Okay, let's use liquid glue. Need a refill on that. All right, this will hold. So look what I did. I smudged. We're gonna have to do something. as I said, this, well, for one thing, my Starry Sky is very juicy. So I've got some smudging here, which I don't like and which is rather unfortunate. Luckily, you can't actually see that. What if you use dimensionals? Yeah, it would look cool as well with dimensionals. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this smudge. I may have to kind of do some repair work, but I'll do that after the fact. Now, I grabbed some, I think I'm going to leave the ribbon off, but I am going to put some of these. These are the in color matte dots. So I'm not going to put ribbon. I think it would be pretty with just the way it is. But we will put some of these matte dots on. There we go. Now I do have a piece here, so let's stamp. I've got a lot of ink on this one, so let's just stamp that like that, just to give it something on the inside. And we'll tear this down. So yeah, when you're using ink pads that are juicy, just make sure that you don't get it all over your basic white like I did. Ah, now I've got that slipped. I said this before. One of the great things about the liquid glue is it gives you some wiggle room, but one of the bad things is if you don't let it kind of start to take, get tacky and stick, it does move around. All right, there's my card, and if I put my finger over this smudge mark, you'll never know that it actually has smudged. But isn't that a pretty technique? Can you imagine if you did a card like this for fall? That actually used some of the metallics, like copper or some of the metallic embossing powders. I can't wait to try that. But I really like this in Starry Sky and white, and I will have to kind of redo it and fix it so I don't have that smudge mark, because that was really disappointing. But anyway, great technique. I can't wait to try it again with some more, some different stamps and some different colors. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that. Now join me Tuesday night for my sketch challenge at 6:30 Pacific. I'm going to make a bit of an announcement on Tuesday night about a promotion that I have going on. I am very close to earning the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip again this year. And so I need some help. And so I'm going to announce a bit of a promotion. If you can help me out, I will be sending you some product based on the orders that you put in. So stay tuned for that announcement on Tuesday night. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great day. Happy stamping.